Welcome back to another episode of Spiritual Teachers Podcast. Flowing River and I didn't have enough time last episode. So, for those that missed it, Flowing River is a poet, a heart centered mystic, a seeker of truth, and a devotee of the divine. And I'd love to welcome you back on again, brother. Welcome on.
Thanks for having me again. It's always good. And sometimes it just happens. We just run out of time. But the beautiful thing is, it's a construct of our own mind. So we can just keep on going and going and going as long as we're breathing. So
That's right.
Looking forward to it.
That's right. So there were some topics that we wanted to cover in the last episode that we're going to try to get to today. One of them being having a living guru as a guide, how to tell that it's a true spiritual teacher. That's really important. We'll talk about false teachers. We'll talk about Seva, which is selfless service. We'll potentially touch on Sikhism and then what Flowing River is creating now. So last episode, we finished off with you sharing about how your teacher had found you on Facebook and he had liked your blog, and everyone's been in suspense for a week. So where did it go from there?
Yeah. I had just gone through the first 5-6 years of my spiritual awakening, developed this beautiful spiritual ego, started this Ascension Academy, and started coming out to the world. So as I'm promoting that, people are coming my way, and one of them was my teacher. And I went to his Facebook page and his profile, checked him out, and I saw, he's a man with a turban and a beard and laying out some very simple teachings, and I didn't think much of it, so I just left. And right to pick up exactly where we're at, later that week, I kept posting, and more people were coming, and more attention was building, and this momentum was happening. And the Facebook algorithm gods just happened to bring us together again. What are the odds that out of the hundreds of people that liked this post, his name showed up plus hundreds of people that liked this post, right? So I saw the name again, and I said, okay, I'm going to click it. So I click it again, go back to his page, same profile picture, same beard, same turban. And by the way, I had never met a Sikh in all my travels across, 30 countries, in all my spiritual pursuits. I'd never even heard of Sikhism, which is wild to think of up to that point. So I didn't even know he was a Sikh. I thought maybe he was a Kundalini teacher or something like that. But I go to his page, maybe he has one new quote, and again, very straightforward, very simple, nothing that blew my mind by any way, means. But as I'm leaving that page, I'm just about to leave, and then something happens. It was like, when you're on an e-commerce store and you're about to leave the page, on exit, a pop-up comes up and it's like, hey, before you leave, 20% off, put your email in, something like that.
Yeah.
Like they want to email capture you. And as I'm just about to leave the page, boom, internal pop-up in my intuition. It was like, hey, just send him a message. And I was like, that's interesting, right? Where did that voice come from? Or where did that inkling come from? Where did that feeling come from? Where did that intuition come from? I had no idea, but I had been hip to the game at that point to be aware enough to surrender to the way that the flow would direct, or the universe would direct me at that point. And so I was like, okay, I'll take that into consideration. Okay, yeah, I should send him a message. And I never sent anybody messages. It was all about people sending me messages, all about people jumping on calls with me to sign up for this thing. So, why would I send somebody a message? I don't need to learn from anybody. I'm a spiritual teacher, right?
Right.
But I just took that leap of faith and I said, okay, I'm going to send a message. I sent a message. I sent 2 letters. I didn't even know how to send a message. I just said H-I, hi, that's it, right? And probably the most awkward message I've ever sent. And immediately, it's just it's who says hi and that's it? I don't know. But because I didn't have any real intention other than just, I'm going to follow this intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And he immediately just responded back within a day or so. And he said, hey, let's jump on a call. And again, very strange. I don't normally jump on calls with people just unless we're talking about signing you up for a course or something like that, right? So at that point, We scheduled a call, jumped on a call. Again, the first call was like 45 minutes. And I didn't feel like my mind was blown at all. We just felt like two friends talking about the spiritual path and life, and it just felt nice. But it wasn't mind blowing, it wasn't an epiphany or anything like that. But at the end of the call, I was like, that's just enough to kind of make me want to have another call, be okay to have another call. So I was like, well, let's have another call. That was nice, like we can talk again. And probably by the fourth or fifth call, we had a couple calls like, within a 2-week period. And by the fourth or fifth call, it was very, very apparent to me, like crystal clear, that the being that I was speaking to had a depth of wisdom that was deeper than the ocean, deeper than I had ever touched before. And the best way I always explain this to people is like, in this metaphor, how much you know, okay? And we can put our fingers up. This is how much I know. I know that what I know is between these two lines. I know that that is a flower. I know that that is a teapot. I know that when I put hot water with tea leaves, it turns it into tea, right? And I can drink that, and that's fine. Now, the next level is I know what I don't know, which is much wider, right, than what I know. I don't know, like there's a light on right now shining on me, and I have no idea how the electricity is going through the circuit board, of how that's created, connected to the power plant. Like, I don't know that. I don't know how the rocket ships are put together and the chemical reactions that explode in fuel and all this. I don't know that stuff. And what I don't know is so far beyond what I know. Like this much, these two things I know. I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. But when I was talking with my teacher, Bhai Sahib Ji, or Bhai Bahadur Singh Ji, is that I didn't know how much I didn't know.
Right.
Like, that's what it felt, right? And like, a great way to explain that is just recently, the Rubin Vera Observatory just came online, and it took a photo of the sky. And in a single image, it can capture 100 million galaxies. Okay?
Wow.
And I Googled this, how many planets are in a galaxy? Google said that in a single galaxy, our single galaxy that our solar system is in, there are hundreds of billions of planets and stars in each galaxy. Now just multiply that out 100 million, and that's only what's visible in that single image.
Yeah.
Not even counting beyond those 100 million galaxies, not counting to the left or the right, above or below any of that spatial space. That is so beyond of what you don't even know what you don't know. Like, there is so many infinite dimensions and realities and life forms and things that we don't even know. We just have no idea of what we don't know. And
I've heard that there are more stars in the galaxy than there are grains of sand on the planet.
I believe it. I believe it, absolutely.
That like really, I remember that really blowing my mind.
Absolutely. And when look up the Rubin Vera Observatory, it's mind blowing. The scale of how vast the universe is, and knowing that that's not even X percentage of the sky coverage. So when I was speaking with him about spirituality, there was just this depth of wisdom that was just touching me in a deeper way, like to the essence of my soul, to the essence of my being, and it was drawing me. Like, that was where my soul wanted to be. That's where my soul wanted to go. It was like a moth to a flame almost, So I just wanted to listen and learn. And in that desire to listen and learn, I realized I'm not a teacher. I'm not a master. Like, all these other people are telling me I'm a master of this, I'm a master of that. No, I didn't even take step one when I sat next to my teacher. So I ended up. He didn't tell me to do anything, but out of my own free will choice, I ended up destroying my entire Ascension Academy. I shut down all my friends, like from social media and stuff, the groups and all that stuff, and I went into like hibernation mode. I got rid of all my spiritual books, all my texts, all this stuff, and I literally just fell into surrender of the teachings that Bhai Sahib Ji was sharing with me. And that sounds extremely risky. and daunting, right? Because before I had come to that point in my path, I was one of those people who was like, I'll never have a guru. I'll never be a disciple.
Right.
Like, how do I need a guru? The guru lives within everyone,
Right.
right? That you are the guru. I'm the guru. The guru lives within me. I did not understand why people would go into discipleship. And then, of course, you hear all the horror stories of cults, and you hear all the horror stories of people taking advantage of each other, and this and that and the other thing. And later,
You
I
were part
realized
of you were part of something like that at one point, right?
Loosely associated through work, not that I joined it, but yeah, we will definitely touch on that, because
Okay.
that's a perfect parallel of understanding like what could happen if things go wrong in spirituality, and you go into this I'm the teacher, I'm the master mode, or if you go into Seva, which is selfless service, I am the servant of the divine, I am the servant of consciousness coming into perfect symbiotic harmony with all beings and all relations, right? Versus I'm sitting on the top of the throne. So I go into this surrender mode by choice, and I didn't know if it was the right choice at that time, but I felt called to do it. And I was willing to try because I had tried so many things. I had tried hundreds of techniques. I've read tons of philosophy on different spiritual lineages and things of that nature. And I realized that all of that stuff, while it's all beautiful, it only got me so far along the path. And it didn't get me to the next step. And of course, this is the foreshadowing that I've been praying to meet a living spiritual master for 2 years. Again, very dangerous situation, because if this teacher is not the real deal, I just surrendered everything and was willing to listen intently to whatever he may say.
Right.
Very dangerous situation. But what I saw was, I'm a very practical person. I'm a business person. I've been in business for 17 years, coming to spirituality. And everything in business is about, well, what's the result?
Right.
Like, you take action, you release a campaign. What is the result? You split test, you optimize, you make it more efficient, you get better results. So my approach, like I was speaking about in the first episode, was I was very transactional with a lot of my sadhana. If I do this breath work, I get this. And a lot of people do it like that. Like they think, okay, I'm going to do 1 hour meditation, I should get this much closer. I realized later it doesn't necessarily work like that. But what I saw in the first 6 months of following this path eclipsed everything I had done in the previous 6 years within 6 months. And the reason for that was twofold. Like, I always give this analogy that, like, before I was taking the rainbow path, and I was kind of like taking the best of the best, leaving the rest of the rest, making my own version of spirituality what worked for me, which was beautiful for me at that point in the path. But when I do that, when I look at that, it's like a field, right? And you're like digging a hole. You're doing a practice. Okay, I'm gonna do this breath work. I'm digging a hole over here on the left side. Then I'm gonna do this meditation, this visualization. I'm gonna start digging a hole over here. And then I'm gonna do this thing over here. And I'm gonna start digging a hole here and a hole here and a hole here. And you got a bunch of holes in your field. But guess what? Those holes are only so deep. Right. You're kind of surface level and everything. And what Vaisabji advised me is like single pointed focus, which is exactly what the yogis say. Drishti, single pointed focus, right? And he was saying, go into mantra meditation with this singular pointed focus. And so I began digging one hole, the same hole every day, going deeper, 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 deeper. And that just completely accelerated my personal transformation and spiritual growth. At the same time, I told you, I shut down the business, I cut off these other things, because I took out all the distractions, all the shiny objects, all the, dance parties here and this and that and stuff. And you'll hear the same thing in entrepreneurship. You got the kids in college that are going to the parties, and you got the kid that's working overtime on his business plan. And yeah, you make sacrifices, but that's how you make growth. That's how you make progress, right? And you have to choose between the world or your soul. Like, there's really not an in between. Every lineage will say that you can't serve two masters. So I really chose to just jump into that mode of, okay, this is my opportunity to see if this works. And if it does work, then great. So after 6 months, guess what? The result came. And I could see the personal transformation within myself of actually becoming more self-aware, actually being able to navigate through emotion with more grace, flow, and ease, actually being able to understand the path more clearly, like clarity started coming.
Mm-hmm.
Quick, and this is quick, 6 months. I'm like, wow, this is incredible, that I've been trying to walk through mud, doing all these physical practices through the body, through the breath. And yeah, transformation was happening, but it was slow and it was painful and it was austerity. Whereas now we're sitting in meditation and mantra, going through bhakti, through love and devotion of the heart. And it's joyful and it's easy and it's simple. And it's blowing my mind that, wow, you're telling me I didn't have to do all that other stuff. And again, I'm not promoting that this is the path for everyone, but this is my personal experience. This is my testimony.
Right.
So what worked for me may not work for you. However, when I looked into this practice has been going on for thousands of years. And if you look at every lineage, at a certain point, they bring you to mantra meditation. Like even the yogis will take you to bhakti. You start in the body because you need to be able to sit. So you do hatha yoga, asana, so you can sit and meditate. Then you work with the breath to clear out the emotions, the nadis and the meridians of emotional disturbance, so that way your mind can be still. Then you chant mantra to connect to your highest self, and then you actually meditate, which is called samadhi.
Mm-hmm.
So everything we're doing is just practice to actually sit in samadhi, to actually meditate. Everything we're doing before is not meditation. It's attempting to meditate,
Right.
Bring our mind to a point of stillness. And so my teacher shared that very simple practice. I'd probably say that's 80% of the path of the Sikhi as far as the practices go. Mantra meditation, kirtan, singing the praises of the Lord, thinking of the Lord, remembering the divine. And when I say the Lord or divine, the divine has so many different names. Yeshua, Buddha, Krishna, Allah, Purusha, Shiva, Brahma, Jah, Wankantanka, Yoshibu. Like, just there's so many names across all the lineages, but it's all pointing to this one thing. Even the scientists say there's one point. And
yeah,
so you look at it, right? What is it's known as Shabad Simran, that's mantra meditation. So Shabad means mantra, Sha means ego, Bad means to cut. You translate that into Sanskrit, it means mantra. Translate mantra into English, that means word. In the Bible, it says at first there was the word.
Mm-hmm.
But what is the word? The scientists tell us what the word is. The word is bang, big bang, right? And what is a bang? A bang is a sound. It is a vibration of creation. So everything has stemmed from this one vibration. And for the yogis, yoga is the reunion of man's consciousness with divine consciousness. So we have separated from that. And now in the school of earth, we're remembering to return back to that one point and achieve yoga, divine union, and achieve our true highest potential while remembering our true selves. So for me, that is the path that, as I've understood, what we're actually aspiring to do here through all these spiritual understandings and spiritual practices, and why you would get connected to a true teacher. The reason why is before I met Bhai Sahib, I didn't know what a true teacher was. I just saw beautiful clothes. I saw social media posts. I saw exotic retreat look centers. I saw smiling people in cuddle puddles. I saw, plant medicine ceremonies with the most beautiful music and recreational drugs and all this stuff. It's all fun and fine and dandy, but the people that get stuck in those cycles are just looping, right? And I look back at myself and it's like I was just looping. I wasn't actually getting out of that cycle. And to break free and actually achieve liberation, or start walking along the path of liberation, is to dissolve and burn away your karma and replace negative karma with positive karma. What is karma? Cause and effect. It is action, right? So all the pain and suffering we're experiencing now is because we are harvesting the negativity we have planted in the past, according to my teacher, right? And so therefore, as true spiritualists, all we're doing is becoming aware of that and rectifying our old history and making sure that every single breath, every single step we take, that we are now much wiser, more aware, and we're only going to plant positive seeds of love. And that way, all of our future becomes a very beautiful future that we get to harvest our positive karma. That's literally that's literally raising your vibration, transforming your entire life. It's just boils down to your thoughts, words, and actions of what you're allowing to come through your channel. The difference is, are people aware of it or not? Because so often people go into reactionary behavior patterns, they go into automatic loops, they're not aware of the voice that's in their head. They think that they associate with that voice. They listen to that voice that's trying to create separation. It's very simple. The path's very simple. My teacher's teacher said, it is the job of the saint, and I'm paraphrasing this, I may be butchering it, but it's the job of the saint to stitch together. The saint never cuts. The saint always stitches, whether it's families, whether it's people, whether it's communities, whether it's your own within your being. Everything is about coming together, about unity and coming to that. Anyone that's trying to divide or cut, you already know what energy that is, right? So as we're on this path and you're saying you want to walk this path, there's only one choice every single moment of your life. It is rise above in love and face the light, or separate in hate and walk towards the darkness, turning your back to the light. Every choice in your life boils down to that and that's it. Now, if you're really walking this path, you don't even have a choice, because your choice is love or love. And that is the lesson that has us all stressing, but at the end, it's a big old blessing. So
I love it.
And I'm not saying it's easy. Okay. Like, I'm a student just as much as you are and everyone that's listening to this. And that is the practice, that's why we do these sadhanas, to raise our vibration. So that way, when we are in the meditation, the ceremony of life, that we can show up in our lightest, brightest version that can hold space and be compassionate for those other people that may not be in practice, right?
Yeah, so I have a question. From what I've learned through Kundalini Yoga with Sikhism, there is the book, which is known as the Guru, and the book holds the highest possible wisdom and teachings. So how does that tie in with what you've been practicing and what your teacher has taught you?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's funny because my teacher never shared any books or anything like that with me at all. He waited for me to get like so curious that I wanted to, seek it out myself. And so I searched for that book, the Sri Guru Granth Sahib. And in Sikhism, there are 10 enlightened gurus. And in the 11th guru was canonized as all of the teachings of the previous 10 gurus into the living guru, which is Sri Guru Granth Sahib. And there would be no more human gurus after that, that took the seat of the lineage. So in the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, it is the most beautiful book as far as I'm concerned. The reason being is because a lot of other lineages, the teachings, like let's say from Jesus' teachings, they were recorded in different disciples and things like that, but they didn't actually get translated into written language until 100 years after his death. So they say. Then after that, it went to the Roman Empire, and they did the Council of Nicaea and chose the books, and the government got colluded into it. And you look at what Jesus is saying, and it's pure. Christ consciousness is pure. And that goes across all lineages. But where are the practices that help somebody achieve Christ consciousness in the Bible?
Right.
I was a Christian for 15 years, and I couldn't find it personally, other than prayer, which is, of course, a beautiful practice. And you can achieve through that lineage, but it's cloudy. You even go to Buddhism, and Buddha's disciple actually achieved enlightenment. So he remembered everything. Apparently, he remembered everything that Buddha said. But the Buddhist canon wasn't canonized until 100 years later. And of course, Buddha's teachings show a pathway and show the philosophy and the perspective, and it's absolutely glorious. I love Tibetan Buddhism. But a lot of these lineages, what you'll find around the world is that they're not written by the sages or the saints or the gurus themselves. It always gets passed down. And if you know anything about the game of telephone, you could play it right now with 10 of your friends, go in a circle, and see if that message comes out the same after one or two goes. Now try 100 years.
Yeah.
You know, like, and then not only that, but translating from one language to another language. Like, and then unfortunately, you look at the Bible, and there's like 100 different versions of the Bible now.
Yeah.
And so it's like, which one is the real deal? Sikhism, to me, and again, I'm not putting down any other lineage. I'm just saying, if you're a true seeker, these are important things to look at for yourself to make your own eternal compass decision of where you should root down. And I'm not trying to say Sikhism is the best at all. It's like the best is your personal connection with the divine, in whichever way you create that connection. But for me, I looked at that and I said, wow, that's very interesting, you know? And then you look at Guru Granth Sahib, and it was written by the gurus. There's two authentic versions of the Guru Granth Sahib that were the original written ones that are still in existence today, highly protected, and you can go see them. And not a single word has been changed from day one in all the subsequent copies. If people try to change it, you know, they're going to have problems. So I said, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Then you start reading it. And when you read it as a seeker, it's just clarity. It's just, there's no fluff. There's no like occult mystery. Oh, it's a dragon and it's this and it's that and symbolism. And you got to navigate through the metaphor and this means that. And it's level 32. And then you got to forget level 31. And then, you know, like it's not that.
Right.
In fact, Guru Nanak Dev Ji came to correct that because he when he incarnated, there was a caste system in India, and Hinduism was predominant. So if you weren't a Brahmin, you didn't have access to the divine. And so everyone had to go through the Brahmin to perform rituals, to receive blessings, to understand the Vedas. And the Vedas are the 10,000-year-old scripture that basically direct all the top lineages of the world, all the top lineages that have enlightened beings like Krishna, Buddha, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the yogic lines. They're all rooted in the Vedas. So Sikhism is rooted in the Vedas as well. The Vedas says, in the fourth age, which is Kali Yuga, age of ignorance and darkness, thank goodness, that's where we're incarnated into the age of darkness. It says the only way out is through Nam Japo. So through the meditation on the name of the divine. As we know, in our lineage, Shab Simran or mantra meditation. So that's one of the ways that they say you can achieve liberation during this age. So what Guru Nanak Dev Ji did, he came to equalize. He saw this imbalance. He saw that people that were in the lower caste had no chance to come up. They were treated like the low caste couldn't even step on the shadow of the Brahmin without being beaten, right? Like that was like cardinal sin. Like their shadow was holy, and who are you to even be in their shadow? So he came and he said, no, we're going to open all the doors. You want the key? You want to be a master? Do this, this, and this. And he was like, anyone could do it. Nobody's more special than everyone else. There's no elitism. There's no social caste. There's no genderism. There's no, how much money you have, type of clothes you wear. None of that. Color of your skin. None of that matter. King, peasant, everyone is the same. He just came and equalized the playing field, and he just spread the word like, here's the step-by-step playbook if you wish to achieve yoga or union with the divine.
Right.
Because the path of Sikhism is to merge your consciousness into the divine consciousness, which is the same as the path of yoga, which is the same as the path of Tibetan Buddhism, which is the same as like essentially the concept of enlightenment.
Right.
So what was incredible to me was that it was so clear. It's like, don't do this, do this. And then it was like, here's the practices: mantra meditation, self-reflection, and seva, selfless service. Those three things make the basis. That's your spiritual practice. What do you do in your real life? It even talks about society. Society, work hard and honestly. Give back to society and meditate. So it's like gives you these very practical things to be in the world but not of it. Because they don't say run away from society. And I'll give you one saki or a story of the Guru that's very beautiful. So that explains it. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he went on these missions or udasis to spread this message of oneness. And one day he found himself in the high mountains of the Himalayas. It was him and his companion Mardana Ji, who was a Muslim, and he was a rabab player. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji would receive divine wisdom and sing and create these hymns and these shabads. And Mardana Ji would accompany him and play kind of like a rabab, which is kind of like a Indian version of guitar, loosely translated. It's definitely not that, but that's the best way you can translate that. And so they're walking through the Himalayas, and they come across, I can't remember the exact number, I think it was like 82 or 84 enlightened beings. And these it's cold. It's the Himalayas, high in the mountains, and these beings are just completely, essentially naked, walking up there, and they see each other. So the beings come up to him, and they see Guru Nanak Dev Ji dressed in very strange clothing, not the local clothing, and they obviously know that he's not from there. So they ask him, like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? And he explains he's on a mission to spread this message and things of that nature. And then the enlightened beings, they realize that they're both spiritual, and they start questioning them. They say, okay, well, if you're so spiritual, why aren't you a renunciant? Why have you not renounced the world? Why are you not like us? We've renounced the world. We're living in the caves. We live 200 years, 300 years, 400 years. The world offers nothing to us. What are you doing? You're still eating, and you're still, mingling with these lower vibrational beings. And Guruji's response was beautiful, and this is really the philosophy of one of the core tenets. And he said, well, if all the light of the world hides in the caves, what happens to the rest of the world?
Turns to darkness.
Exactly. So it's like, if you achieve a higher state of knowing, of being, a better way of living, it's, almost your seva, your selfless service to go and spread that to other beings, so that the whole world can become more beautiful, versus keeping it to yourself, selfishly protecting yourself and hiding off in the cave. So Guruji was trying to show with us that we don't need to go, to a high mountain and stay there for 15 years and run away, drop all our responsibilities, lose all our relationship with our family, things of that nature. No, we can be in society. You can still go to your birthday parties. You can still have a beautiful house. You can still drive a fancy car. You can have all the nice clothes that you want. You can eat, like a king. But the thing is, my teacher says, is don't get attached to it. So be in the world, but not of it. Don't let the world own you. Some people, if their car gets damaged or something, they're going to be crying and kicking and screaming. If some people, if they lose a relationship, it's like the end of their world. It's like they're so attached to this Maya, this matrix, this illusion that is temporary. Because everything you see right now, brother, and everyone that's sitting watches, just look around. It's all turning to dust, including your body. These are the reminders from the gurus that say, hey, you have limited time here when you remember. If you have this opportunity to remember, why not remember that which is eternal? That which is going with you into your next life, and your next life, and your next life, and your next life. What is actually going with us? The gurus tell us that we only carry our vibration, but what creates our vibration? That karma, that positive action or that negative action. It's like my teacher always says, it's like we're always looking at our bank accounts. We know how much money's coming in. We know how much money's going out. We have to stay in the black to stay above water. And we do our best to do that, and we're paying attention every month, or some people are weekly, some people are daily, looking at it. If you got crypto, I bet you're looking at it every 10 seconds. You know, so,
Yeah.
but who's looking at their karmic bank account, their spiritual bank account? Who's taking that careful accounting of self-reflection at the end of the day? Okay, what did I do today? What are my thoughts, my words of action? Did I hurt somebody's heart? Did I cause pain to myself? You know, did I destroy or did I create? Did I hate or did I love? And how can I, rectify that and improve, even if it's just 1%, and do some sort of improvement, bring some a little bit more awareness around these patterns and habits that are keeping us tied down to lower vibrational realities.
Yeah.
Because that energy, that is the only thing that they say that is carried into your next life. And that is why we manifest either heaven or hell. And heaven or hell isn't like next life. Heaven or hell is now, based on your vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be in a heavenly reality or you can be in a hellish reality. And based on, what's manifesting in your life and how you're moving through that, then your next life, what we're doing is we're setting ourselves up for a better situation and to continue walking the path. Because some people think, oh yeah, I'm gonna achieve enlightenment in one go. Like I love the concept. I even thought that many times. I was like, I'm going for it. Enlightenment in this lifetime, it's happening. It's like if you study Buddhism, Buddha himself remembered 500 of his human lives before he achieved enlightenment, and he remembered all of his animal lives, and he probably remembered everything before too. But he has stories of when he was like a deer and he had a friend as a bird and a frog, and he has stories of different lives, and it's just wild to think of the levels of meditation, like just to give people at home some inspiration. It's like,
Yeah.
you remembered everything. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people can't remember like where they left their keys at when they're trying to get in the car.
Right. Right.
He is telling me metaphorical philosophical stories based on he was a deer and there was a hunter with with a frog and a bird. So it's just beautiful how deep we get to go in this journey of the unfolding of our soul.
Yeah.
And we just have to be mindful that, yeah, it's an illusion, but it's also very tangible and real based on the universal laws that are present whether you are aware or not. Like ignorance is not, what do they say about ignorance? It's not above the law, or it's like no excuse for disobeying the law, something like this.
Right.
Like, ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is pain and suffering. Like, let's just rephrase that. So
Yeah.
wisdom leads to a path of ease, grace, and flow, and you get to navigate around all these things and increase your awareness and be able to not incur more negative karma in your life. And then things start getting easier. Then things start becoming heavenly.
Okay. Yeah. So I think this is a great segue for how to differentiate between actual spiritual teacher versus somebody selling you snake oil, right?
Yeah, totally. And there's a lot of snake oil salesmen out there. I mean, it's the thing about this is like you want to get connected to a teacher that has achieved the highest state of spirituality. 10 out of 10. They went all the way. Why? Because they can guide you exactly to where they have achieved. So you have to look at the results of any teacher, right? You have to test your teacher. My teacher told me this. His teacher told him to test him for as long as he needed until he knew that he was the real deal and then that he would want to commit. My teacher told me the same thing. Test me. Try me out. See if I'm the real deal or not. You don't like it, go somewhere else. If you like it, stay here, right? But for the seekers, we're not even aware. What are those attributes that we should be looking at? Like when we go dating, it's like, oh yeah, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. That's a red flag. You need to have the same mentality when you search for a spiritual teacher. Yeah. Because if you get connected to the wrong spiritual teacher, somebody might take you to like 7 out of 10. Somebody might take you out of 5 out of 10. So you might be out of 5 and somebody might take you down to 2 out of 10. You might go backwards if you get connected with the wrong teacher, right? Or go around the mountain or get lost in a cave or, fall down on the side of the mountain. Like all types of stuff can happen if you get connected with the wrong person. But you get connected with the right person. They're going to show you the path and say, put your foot exactly where I put my foot. If you surrender into that, you will achieve as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you look for? In every lineage, whether you're Christian, Buddhist, this, that, the other thing, they say, do this and don't do this. 7 deadly sins. And in Corinthians, the attributes of love. In Buddhism, it's like the 5 poisons and the 8 noble path. Like in yoga, it's the yamas and niyamas. In Sikhism, it's the 5 divine virtues and the 5 thieves. Every lineage will say that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important that we study those things. Like the enlightened are telling us, like the divine himself is telling us, okay, if you wish to exit the gift shop, don't do these things. What are they generally saying? Anger, greed, lust, ego, attachment. Those are the 5 thieves that steal our life force energy and keep us trapped in lower dimensions of reality. Keep us trapped in being tethered to the illusion of the world. Versus the divine virtues, compassion, contentment, divine love, truth, and humility. Those things are the reflection of the qualities of the divine. And when what you put out is what you attract.
Mm-hmm.
So if you start putting out those 5 qualities, guess what? The divine is going to start running to you. So those things must be studied. A lot of people will say, oh, anger, okay, I know what anger is, right? That might be the easiest one. But have you studied what ego is? Have you studied how sneaky it is? Have you studied what attachment is? Do you understand how it keeps you kind of like tethered or entangled karmically with relationships in your life or people, places, and things? Do we actually know what contentment is? Have we ever felt contentment? Do we even remember what that feels like?
Mm-hmm.
So we really need to, yeah, sure, there's the five characteristics on each side, but then study each one. And when you study them, that's when you can see red flags and green flags. For instance, you're with your teacher and a teacher exhibits anger. Some people might be listening and say, oh, well, there's nothing wrong with anger. It's an emotion and you can, it serves a purpose. Sure. But there's also degrees of that, context of it, and generally anger is seen in all lineages as something that is destructive and destroys, burns bridges. The true teacher shows that you actually never need to actually use anger. You can use divine love, which supersedes the energy of anger, and get the same or better result of what you desired, right? Mm-hmm. Which is a more beautiful existence for all beings in that moment.
Yeah.
Right. Which is what everyone desires, but they just don't know how to do it.
Right.
We all want to be happy and free, but for some reason we don't have the tools or techniques or remembrance to do it. It's just this divine comedy. So if I see somebody that's claiming to be a spiritually enlightened being or a teacher and they're exhibiting anger, greed, lust, ego, or attachment in any capacity, I know that they have not achieved 10 out of 10.
Mm.
We can just rule out they're not an enlightened being. Okay? So remove the delusion from your mind, because I see so many people claiming this person's enlightened, that person's enlightened, this person's enlightened. It's like, have you even studied what enlightenment is?
Right.
Like, I don't know what enlightenment is. All I can do is study the outline of what enlightenment should look like, based on those beings that for sure were enlightened, like Guru Nanak Dev Ji and the 10 gurus, like Buddha, Krishna, some people even say Jesus and other certain yogis in various yogic lineages. And you can study them and study their philosophy, study how they exhibited, how they behaved, study their stories of their life, get in that inspiration and see what a true teacher should look like. Anyone could be a teacher. Anyone could remember the stories. Even I'm remembering stories, sharing them to you. It doesn't mean I'm enlightened. Anyone could wear the clothes. Anyone could do the mannerisms and act. Anyone could sit in a temple or a high chair and pretend to be enlightened. Like, it doesn't mean anything. The true King of Kings is the servant of servants. A true enlightened being isn't going to say, I'm an enlightened being. A true enlightened being is going to say, how can I serve you? Mm-hmm. That is like a key telltale sign. An enlightened being doesn't need your money. An enlightened being doesn't need your following. An enlightened being is only there to serve for your greatest good, and that's it. with no attachment, whether you follow them or not, whether you praise them or you degrade them. Like, they're operating on a different wavelength than me and you.
Yeah.
They're operating in a state of perpetual bliss. I don't even know what that is. But
Right.
like, that is when I look at it from a distance, I'm like, they're not this wavelength. The thoughts I'm receiving are not the thoughts, the thoughtlessness, the silence that they're living in, that they're bathing in.
Yeah.
Another very key thing, when you start getting serious about your sadhana, you will become more sensitive to subtle energies.
And
And
sadhana is a daily practice, right?
yes, your daily spiritual practice, your daily mindfulness practice, your practice that's raising your vibration, expanding your awareness, illuminating your mind, expanding your heart. That practice, whatever it is that you're doing, if you do it enough and you do it with serious and earnesty, you will become more sensitive to subtle energies versus just gross energies. Like, let's say gross mechanical processes. I'm drinking tea, there's a bodily process, breaking it down, turning into energy. I'm eating something, I'm touching something. Becoming more subtle is like, oh, energetic field. Oh, thought forms. Oh, even something beyond that can't be described. And when you become more sensitive, you will realize, and some people have this sensitivity even if they don't have practice, like they just have good karma from a previous life, and that's great. But when you come into the presence of a true spiritual master, you will be attuned to their vibration. You will be in their field. And if you surrender and you listen with an open heart, then you will be you will feel a sense of peace, a sense of ease wash over you. You will feel a quietude, a silencing of the mind. All your questions will be answered without you even asking them.
Mm-hmm.
Is the best way I can explain that. And this is something that you're not going to experience much in your life, because how many people achieve that state to be able to exude what the gurus call a fragrance, which is basically an auric field or presence. And different lineages explain this in different ways. That some people call it darshan, and the vision of the guru, that they're blessing you with their eyesight, with their vision. So, but if you are sensitive enough, then it's very easy. So if you raise your vibration enough, you cannot be fooled.
And
Because
there's
somebody
some
could,
levels of telepathy happening for some people in these situations, right?
so cities is a whole nother thing. Like, if you do any meditation practice, you're going to, like I said, to the sadhana, you're going to get more sensitive. You're going to access the cities. You're going to access these
No, I
spiritual.
mean like the guru telepathically sends the teachings to the student.
It's possible,
Yeah.
if the student is ready to receive, it's
Right.
possible. You know, telepathy. This is well documented across multiple lineages in the cult, and people try to achieve just that skill and achieve it and things like that. But you got to understand that all these cities and spiritual experiences and things like that. Bicep tells me it's a vista point, but it isn't the end point. And
Right.
don't stop at the vista point. Keep walking.
Right. It's a
Get distracted.
distraction. It's a
Yeah.
distraction.
Well, for the true spiritualist, it is a distraction, because then you develop ego. Oh, I'm telepathic.
Yeah.
Like, things come and go, experiences happen. Like, it's endless. But you got to stay focused. If your focus deviates, okay, you're trying to go here straight into merger, and if you deviate just 1 degree to the left and you don't follow that path, guess what happens on a long enough timeline? You were going here, but
Hmm.
somehow you ended up over here.
Right.
And it could have just been one little thing. So, at a certain point in the beginning, the path is very wide. They say this too in Christianity. The highway to heaven, like, the gates are open to everyone.
Hmm.
Everyone can walk towards heaven. But as you go up the mountain, it gets higher, it gets more and more narrow. Now you're
Hmm.
walking a very strict path. So there's definitely levels, and the divine is very merciful, conscious is very merciful, thank God. Otherwise I wouldn't be here talking with you.
Right.
um, and and so you have plenty of opportunity to receive the lesson, receive the blessing. But if you know better, and you do the wrong thing, like a false teacher would, now you're going to pay double the price. You're going to pay. The divine does not like hypocrites. So you'll see this in false teachers, hypocritical teachings. Do what I say, but don't do what I do. So this is why you study those divine virtues and you study those negative attributes and you pay attention. What is this person actually exhibiting? Is there a thread of ego here? Like some people say, I'm the reincarnation of this and I am, enlightened. I have no karma. Some people have told me that before, literally. And I'm just like, wow, no true master is going to say they're a master, hands down. Like that's just unspoken rule. Why? Because humility is one of the divine virtues. The true master, like I said, is not the king of kings. He is the king of kings, but he presents himself as a servant of servants.
Right.
Guruji says, "Let me serve your servants." Like in the holy scripture of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, he begs for the service of the Lord's servants, and that's the enlightened being. You know, so beautiful philosophy. And when if everyone would serve everyone, we would be in perfect symbiotic harmony. We would be like nature. You go out and you look at the trees, right? And I'm sure you're aware of this, but the biggest tree, is he the one taking all the nutrients and resources for himself and that's how he got so big? No, the biggest tree is collecting so much energy, nutrition, water, and his roots are going so far. Why? So that he can spread those nutrients and those resources in the water to other plants that need it in the forest. So all of the forest, no matter if it's the same tree or not, can thrive through collaboration with the mycelium network. That's the divine design.
Oh yeah.
And it's like when we're in service to each other, not only do we become more humble ourselves, but we actually create a more beautiful, heavenly existence for everyone.
Yeah.
So, this is darshan, the vision of the enlightened. And, when you learn of it, you're like, oh, how can we do that? And then you look at the world and it's like, oh man, it's going to be an upward hill climb, but that's the work.
Right. So the next question for me would be, can you share a little bit about how you've been in these situations where there were these false teachers, and when did the red flags start going up for you, and like when did things start to click in those scenarios?
Totally. And honestly, if I didn't meet my teacher Baisaji, like maybe I would have got duped, because I can't say that I had ever met a true teacher before I met him. And, I met people with certain city powers and things like that, but nobody that embodied like the teachings to a T. So because I had him as a reference point and because I was studying these different characteristics of the light and the dark, I was able to identify these key things. And for me, it was right away. I would walk into, I got hired to work for an organization that presented itself as very spiritual. And I was invited there to meet them. And, they immediately kind of went into a performance for me, like a lot of movement and pretending that they have some sort of connection with a higher power, and they're channeling and they're doing all these things. And they had beautiful multi-million-dollar properties and all the beautiful crystals and white clothes and gold and all that stuff. And it's very fancy, well-to-do. And honestly, like if I didn't know better, I would have thought this is spirituality. Like clearly they're doing something good, because in the West, we're told that if you have more material things, that you're successful. And if you're successful, then you should copy what those successful people are doing so that you can be successful. So that material success of capitalism translated to spirituality for a lot of people in the West. In the East, there's that too, but there's a different problem in the East. But in the West, we get kind of enamored by this materialism. So luckily, because I wasn't attached, I wasn't greedy, those material things didn't have any effect on me. Because I could walk into that space, but only because I had received those teachings, not because I'm intelligent or I know something or that I'm wise, but because I received those teachings from my teacher that said, hey, be in the world but not of it. Like you can go to the most fancy places, but that material stuff is turning to dust. It's really just dust. So if your perspective is it's fancy dust, it has no power over you. But if you give it power and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a $50,000 crystal. I have an opportunity to be a part of this community and I could get something from this, right? Ooh, that might be a little energy of greed there. That might be a little energy of ego, that, like a little energy of attachment, like all weaved in there. It gets quite complicated and convoluted. And this is why we have to reflect on our thoughts. But if you're focused, single pointed focus on your meditation, then these thoughts, ideas, and stories, they actually get sucked into kind of like a black hole and dissolve. They don't have power over you. And that's why the gurus say, like, stay focused in your mantra. So as they're doing this performance, they're doing all this stuff, I could easily see that there was, maybe they were well-intentioned, but these are not true teachers in the way that they're presenting themselves as enlightened beings. And so I just took it as, okay, it's a work opportunity. I'm going to support them as best as I do, because no matter what I do, I work hard, I work honestly, and I'm going to put my all into it. And maybe they're bringing some positivity to the world. Later, through that experience, a lot of things happened, and that perspective shifted a lot from learning experiences. And I realized that the two beings that I'm talking about, referencing, they had achieved some level of spiritual power, but they were kind of misusing that. And that was another thing that was a red flag for me, is that they tried to command me. In a true relationship between a teacher and a student, the student surrenders to the teacher, not because the teacher told them to surrender, but out of their own free will choice from the purity of their heart. Right? So like when you read Buddha going around and then he teaches people, and then people are like, I want to become your disciple or your lay disciple because they were touched so much. Buddha doesn't say, become my disciple. Buddha's just being Buddha. Like this person just was like, that's so beautiful, I want to follow you. Like Guru Nanak Dev Ji, I'll tell you a story. Guru Nanak Dev Ji, before he met his first disciple, he had a crowd of people following him, right? And like, oh, the guru's here and all that stuff. And so he decides he has some silver that he collected, and he just threw the silver in the air, silver coins. And the crowd of people start going crazy, grabbing all the silver. And they're like, thank you, Guruji, thank you, Guruji. And they left. They went back to their house, right? Then there was a couple more left, maybe 10, 20 people. And he was like, okay, well, I'm going to just go into my gold bag here and throw some gold in there. Right? And then more people grab and go, thank you, Guruji, and they leave. Out of this hundreds of people, only 2 people remained. There was Baba Buddhaji and Angad Dev Ji, who became the second guru, who became Guruji's first disciple. And those people followed the true path. They weren't enamored by the glitz and glamour. They weren't enamored by the money, right? They weren't pulling off the path from the distractions. So you're always going to be tested by the divine, whether the test is a false teacher or the test is a distraction, to pull you off the path. How are you really about it? Are you true? Do you really want to connect to this light? A lot of people say they do, but then when the going gets tough, they want to get upset at God. They want to damn consciousness. They want to quit. They want to give up. Nobody said it's easy, man. But I'll just say that the path. My teacher said the path gets more and more beautiful as you keep walking it. So I saw these teachers, instead of surrendering, like Guru Angad Dev Ji, who said, I'm not interested in anything else except for serving you. That's surrender. And he said, I'm going to follow you no matter what. You can't even push me away, even though you're trying to push me away. I'm just trying to serve you, Yeah. And he did everything Guruji said, and he became Angadji. Angad means limb of the Guru. Then he became the second Guru. Guruji transferred the light to him, and that kept the lineage going because of his service for years and years and years and years and years. Mm-hmm. So it's a path of dedication, a path of love, a path of devotion. So I was in that experience. I'm inside this temple, big temple, 2 stories tall. You can probably fit 200 people in there. It's like marble and crystals and, you know, the whole nines. It
Right.
looked good. It looked good for the gram,
It was
right?
beautiful. I went one time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, that's and very impressive to probably 99% of the people that walked in there. And so I'm in there, and they're telling me, "Hey, we want you to stay, and stay for this event, and cover this, and do this work for this event." And I was like, "Okay, fine. Let's just create an agreement. You know, let's write it down on paper, sign it, and that's great. And I don't have to go back to leave and then come back." And then I remember very specifically, you know, she said, well, she said, no, she kind of avoided making the agreement. And instead she said, "No, you will stay." Like
Mm.
verbatim command, like strong energy. So this is how I knew that she had some spiritual practice and accumulated some power with her word, but that's manipulative energy.
Mm-hmm.
A direct command to me, trying to control me to say, "No, you will stay." And then I said, I responded calmly and I said, "Actually, I feel like I'm going to go." And then she said, "Well, don't you think that's being a little silly?" And then I said, "Well, I guess sometimes I'm a little silly." You
Which
know,
is true as well.
which is true as well. But I kept it very professional because,
Hmm.
again, I'm not her disciple, I'm not her student, but they were positioning themselves like they're the teacher, I'm the student, and there's all this hierarchy going on, which is
Hmm.
another thing to be aware of. A true teacher is never gonna, you know, they're not gonna put you in this position where, like, yeah, you should have respect for them, but they're not trying to put you down.
Right.
They're actually honoring you that you're even trying to get connected to the path. They're honoring you that you're even trying to raise your vibration. They're honoring you that you're even trying to become a better person. Not like, "I'm the teacher and you're beneath me." That
Right.
should that's another red flag, right? But this command thing was very interesting. So I felt that, and I literally had to meditate for like hours that night to clear it out. That's how powerful it was. Got through it, and then I ended up leaving and that the next day, and then like a day or two later they call me up and they're like, "Okay, we'll sign the paper, we want you back." And then I got on another flight and came back. For me it's just business, right? But for somebody else that might have been a very difficult situation. I heard other stories where they did that to people in very suggestive spaces, and that person ended up changing their entire life, you know, dropping everything and moving to that space, and it ended up being a big detour for that person in their life. So luckily I didn't get enmeshed and entangled in that way, but I saw other people getting caught up in these stories. And another way you can kind of see the difference between a true teacher and a false teacher is the false teachers will generally try to sell you on desire. They're going to say, "Hey, you know, manifest your best life ever," or, you know, "Get this tool or technique and reach enlightenment in 30 days," or like, "You're going to get $1 million from doing this," or like they're going after very base desires of core human needs like relationship and this and that stuff. And
Yeah.
it's okay to learn the technique or the tool, and that's fine, but it's not okay to start worshiping these people as gods.
Right.
So if you're going to learn something, okay, that's fine. That's part of your path. But if you're going to get trapped into some type of cultish thing, like, you just need to be aware of what you're signing up for. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, me personally, when I look at the true path is about not gaining something. The true path is about losing it, everything. Like
Mm.
Buddha himself says, you don't gain anything on the path of spirituality. You lose. You lose your anger. You lose your lust. You lose your greed. You lose your ego. You lose your attachment. You lose your desire. So a false teacher is going to try to plant the seed of desire inside of you by modeling, "Oh, if you do this, you could have everything I have.
Hmm.
Big chains and gold and the big, beautiful houses." And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with any of those things. But don't get attached to them, and don't that should not be your goal. Your
Right.
goal should not be, "I just want a big house." Your goal should be, "How can I merge into the divine light?" You know, if you're a true spiritualist.
Right.
Again, there's nothing wrong with having a big fancy house, but There's many stories of kings that have achieved very high states of spirituality that were detached from their kingdoms and things of nature, and they serve the people, and there's no problem with that. So another thing that I noticed dealing with false teachers is there's always money involved. Now, if somebody's charging you money for a service, that doesn't mean they're a false teacher. Like, you're going to a sound healing, you're going to a meditation, you're going to a breath work, you're going to this, that, or whatever. That's an energy exchange. But if somebody's saying, I'm teaching you enlightenment, or I'm teaching you the true path to spirituality, and they're charging for it, that's not a service. That's a disservice.
Yeah.
That's a mockery of what a true teacher is. Like, all the greatest teachers we were talking about before, Jesus, Guru Nanak, any of the enlightened beings, like, they would just serve and serve and serve and serve for free. They wouldn't charge a penny to anybody. Of course, you have to cover your bills if you're if you're practicing healing modalities or you're in a path of spirituality and that's your business. That's fine, but it's a very thin line between making it a transaction. Are you actually trying to serve the person, or are you trying to collect them and put money in your bank account? So it's a very thin line, my teacher says, and usually you want to separate those two things to the best of your ability. And usually the people that are in falsehood, they're propping themselves up as something grandiose. They're creating some sort of system that keeps you trapped and entangled there through multiple levels. They're usually charging an exorbitant amount of money for it, and they are also gatekeeping. So remember I was telling you about the Brahmins gatekeeping how to connect to the divine?
Yeah.
Or a lot of people say the priest that disconnects you from God in the church or whatever it is. It's like, no, Guruji says you go direct. That divine light lives within you. You go directly there. You don't need anyone else to do that. Here's how you do it. Go do it.
Mm-hmm.
So the false teacher is always going to disconnect you. What they're going to do is connect you to themselves. No, bow at my feet. Worship me.
Mm-hmm.
The true teacher doesn't connect you to themselves. The true teacher connects you to the divine light within yourself. They give you the tools and techniques so you can go there and have the direct experience yourself. Buddha says the only way to know the truth is through direct experience. Every true teacher will say this exact thing. The false teacher will say, no, only I can heal you. You have to come through me to see the divine.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So those are some major red flags that usually the false teachers will exhibit pretty easily to see. And of course, the ones that know this, they get sneakier. Like the Bible says, darkness lurks in high places. In Sri Guru Granth Sahib, it says the black swan mimics the white swan. Like the false always wants to mimic the light, but it can never be the light.
So, on a side note, the group that you were talking about ended up falling apart at some point, right?
Yeah, well, that's another telltale sign of false teachings and cults and things of that nature. Is on a long enough timeline, it can't be supported. They will be uprooted.
Right.
Ego can try to hide behind closed doors for as long as it wants, but on a long enough timeline, truth always prevails.
Mm-hmm.
Like, truth is perennial. No one talks about the lies. Everyone forgets about the lies, but the truth will always remain.
Yeah.
In this dimension, every dimension. So, what happened with that group was we actually, because we were in marketing, we helped them get bigger and got them a lot of it, helped bring in a lot of it more attention to them and all this glitz and glamour. And I didn't know everything that was transpiring behind closed doors. I only had a few interactions with them, in person. Most of my stuff was online from hundreds of miles away. But at a certain point, they were struggling, I think, to kind of make ends meet. And there was some rumbling in the community. Like, you could feel this kind of like the farmers were and the peasants were gathering and the pitchforks and the torches were coming. Like, there was like some palpable energy in the community that they were in that did not like what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was aware of that, but you never know if it's what they're saying is true or not, false allegations, all this stuff. So at a certain point, they end up not being able to pay me anymore, and we just go our separate ways. And within like a month or two after of breaking away from that work agreement, all this news comes out. Like there was a reporter, that investigative journalist that focuses on cults. She dropped like a bombshell report,
Oh,
and it was just long with testimonials. With they did this, and this, took advantage of this, that, other thing, and then the local news got involved, the state news got involved, podcasters got involved. Like at some point, I think they were talking about having a Netflix special or something on them.
that would be
And
interesting.
yeah, and I started reading the stories and putting the breadcrumbs together, and it started making all sense. Like one of the stories that came out was, I didn't see anything. I never heard or saw anything that they, were sacrificing babies or sexually abusing people or anything like that. I never saw anything like that or heard anything like that. But emotional manipulation, sure. And somebody could argue, well, these are adults. They're not children, they're adults, and they made a choice to go into this, and they should have just been more aware. And so technically, somebody could say they didn't do anything illegal. But check this story out. So one of the stories was there was a woman who had invested $500,000 apparently into this organization, paying to, get closer to them to achieve enlightenment, and she was dying of cancer. And it was reported allegedly that this group, the leaders, told them, if you drink this holy water that we blessed, you're going to be healed of your cancer. Oh, by the way, it's $15,000 or $25,000 for this holy water. So, in a moment of desperation and belief, they pay the money, they drink the water, and that person's dead. Like that's the type of things that were kind of going on in this place. I mean, on a regular basis. So, kind of, is it illegal to do that? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but is it morally right? Is that leading to positive karma? Absolutely not. Like
Yeah.
you are going to pay your price for that, especially if you're pretending to be a teacher and leading another soul. That is such a burden for anyone. That's why I would never want to like proclaim myself as a master or teacher in any way. Like that is a major responsibility, and misleading people like that, you are going to pay 100 times what somebody that doesn't know what they're doing and misguides somebody by accident.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect example of what a false teacher is going to do for you.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Thank you for sharing that. And it's interesting because I think I went to that temple towards the end, like really close to when it all kind of, and I saw you that night. You remember when I was there? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it was interesting. I think it was a few months before things kind of fell apart.
yeah.
And I have other friends that were involved as well that stepped away eventually. So
And
it's
really quickly, and when it fell apart fast.
yeah,
Those stores came out, then they lost their multi-million-dollar retreat center. They closed their store downtown. They got kicked out of that town. Like the people came after them, and they were upset.
yeah.
And that's what happens when you plant negative seeds of karma, or you don't treat people in the proper way. That energy is coming back. So they brought that upon themselves, and
Yeah.
let that be a lesson to everyone else. It's like that everyone says fake it till you make it. I say keep it real until you seal the deal. Like
I like
there's two
that.
ways to do
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, keep it real till
it.
you seal the deal.
Yeah.
Um, so just to wrap it up with them, we were going to talk about Seva and how sometimes people can use Seva as an excuse to get free labor, right? In a spiritual group like that, for example, you saw some of that happening.
Yeah, and this is just blissful ignorance, and that's okay. We all have to learn. Some learn the lessons the hard way. A good example is the fool is the person who doesn't learn from their mistake, right? The smart, intelligent person, they make a mistake, they learn from their mistake so they don't do it again. But
Hmm.
the wise, they learn from other people's mistake and never make the mistake in the first place. So let us be wise and learn from this, because Seva is selfless service. what are you in selfless service to? You're in selfless service to another being. Even just somebody could say being on this podcast and spreading truth is selfless service. I'm
Right.
not getting paid for this. You're not getting paid to do this,
Right.
right? Selfless service could be I'm just listening and holding space for a friend as they are going through a very difficult time, and I'm there to support them and inspire them and help uplift them. Like that is seva. Guruji, one of the ways that they promoted seva was feeding the needy, right? Feed everybody equally, treat everyone with respect. Like put the king next to the homeless person. They both see each other and realize there's no difference between them.
Mm-hmm.
That's powerful. That's seva, just like having them sit next to each other. There's so many forms of seva. What is not seva is when you are not being paid for a for-profit company.
Mm-hmm.
That is not seva. So an organization may be making money off of you working for free. That's not selfless service. It will be presented as selfless service, but you're actually working them for free. This is called, in America, we call that slavery. Right. So you can't have people work for free in America. It's illegal. Yeah. It's literally illegal. So do not be duped with the concept of seva and for-profit entities. True seva is going to be done in the following ways. You desire nothing from the seva. No recognition. You're not doing it to take a photo op and get likes on social media. Mm-hmm. You're not doing it to get social credit in the community. You're not doing it to feel good about yourself. You're not doing it for any other reason other than the purity and goodness of your heart to serve another being or a community or a purpose, right? Or a concept or a vision. And that's all you're doing it for. And usually when seva comes, it's either nonprofit or it's your own community, your own family, your own thing. I've never heard of seva in a for-profit setting until I came across the organization, and that was a major red flag for me. Mm-hmm. And they were presenting it like not only this, but they were presenting that if you do seva, you get credit that you can use in our store, in our university. So anytime you're trying to do something for something, that's an exchange. That's not seva. That's not selfless service. Mm-hmm. You're doing it for a reason. So it wouldn't even count, like karmic. So that's a normal transaction. Like, yeah. So if you're going to do seva, like, just know that to have zero expectation of receiving anything in return. Yeah. And you have a thought like, oh, that person didn't give me anything. They didn't give me a pat on the back. They didn't give me donate something to me. Then that's something for you as to reflect upon. What is it inside of me that's, wanting that recognition? What part of me wants that? So
yeah, and I've found when I do seva and it is genuinely from the heart, the universe, and I don't look for this, but it's happened where the universe just gives me all these gifts from all over the place just because I was doing it really genuinely from my heart.
Bro, you can't be dropping the secrets of the universe, okay, like that. Then everyone's gonna want to do seva now. No, but it's so true. Like when you do things with that love and devotion, that energy, what you put out is what you attract. Mm-hmm. The universal law. It's so simple. So if you putting out love and devotion to the totality of creation, what do you think the totality of creation is going to send right back to you? Yeah. And that is the art. That is the meditation of seva that my teacher has been trying to share that path with me so that I can, by the grace of God, that to be able to perform seva in the way that the gurus do. Beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you for sharing about your teacher and about the false teachers. I think that's really important for people to recognize and to be able to have the red flags to be able to see it along the path. Yeah. And so this kind of leads into two questions. One, what can people do that want to live in these ways that you were describing, but also need to pay their bills, right? We were talking a little bit offline yesterday about how there's ways of still being in an aligned business and make money, but and be of this world, but not in it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And my teacher says that it's a very narrow path to walk, that to say like I'm selling spiritual teachings. That is a very kind of narrow path. And like we were saying, you have to be careful. Are you doing this in service, or are you doing this to make a profit? And that's a very thin line. It's possible to do, but usually the advocation is like separate your business from your spirituality. So
Mm-hmm.
like for me personally, I'll give you an example. I have an aligned business that I call a mindful business rooted in tea, drishti. And we have a tea house, and we source tea. And what the tea that we source is to help people go into deeper states of meditation. And that's our niche. And
Mm-hmm.
that's it. Right. And so somebody could say, well, that's very spiritual. We don't say that. We say it's mindful, and it's health benefits of tea and all this stuff. And it's very clear that if you're buying this tea, you're going to a tea workshop, you're doing this, it's for this purpose of cultivating a daily tea practice and bringing more mindfulness to your life, and to
Mm-hmm.
slow down and have space to reflect, to be inspired, and things of that nature. Whereas my spiritual practice of Seva is I host a weekly meditation community for free, share these teachings of the path of the enlightened, and they're not my teachings. So they're the teachings from the Holy Scriptures. They're the stories of the gurus. They're the stories of Buddha. This is that nature. And we eat together, and we give free tea from our company there, because it helps deepen the meditation. And then we meditate, and it's a beautiful little community. And we do that without asking for donations or payment or anything. Of course, we give the opportunity for other people to serve as well. You want to come early and do seva, you can help set up, you can clean some dishes. If you wish to donate, that is another form of seva. You can do that. It's up to them, though. We don't ask for it. It's available.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no pressure to perform seva for anyone else either. And so this is the way I've learned to create a space and offer and to share. Because my teacher said the greatest thing you can do for somebody is help connect them to the divine. That's the greatest karma you can create for yourself. And the
Yeah.
worst karma you can create for yourself is actually to disconnect them from the
Right.
divine. This is another true teacher versus false teacher thing as well. So, and you can see that I don't mix. Like drishti is never going to be free, and then seva is just never going to be paid.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain things in the Sangha of Divine Light, which is the seva portion, that we do where we do have to charge things. Just like you said, everyone has to pay bills. Like for instance, if we want to do a retreat, there's food, there's renting a place, there's this, but we don't try to make some exorbitant profit on it. It's like the bare minimum. Maybe we make a small little profit to put towards future events where we don't need to ask for donations, things like that. And that's self-contained. Whereas
Yeah.
with Drishti, if we do an event or something, of course, it's a business. It's for profit. So we aim to create a profit so that we can expand our business and spread the message of the teachings of tea and the philosophy, which coincidentally overlap because Taoism and Sikhism and the yogic lines and Tibetan Buddhism. The Venn diagram is like the Olympic rings. Like they're all like
Right.
there is a clear overlap between
Yeah.
all the lineages at the top that are leading people up the mountain. So I think each person has to make that decision for themselves. I think it's easy to say, okay, well, I'm just going to be a school teacher and then I'll do my seva on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the majority of people in life. They'll go to their community center, their temple, and they'll perform selfless service, and then they just have their job. I think where it gets a little bit dicier is like if you're literally going to say, I am a spiritual teacher and I'm sharing the teachings of enlightenment to you. And this is where that, and you're going to charge for that. That is something that you've got to navigate for yourself. Like I can't give advice to anybody about what to do with that. That's your life. But I give one example of how you could potentially separate the two.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that kind of bridges over into what you're doing now, right? At this
Sure.
moment in your life. And I got my little dog coming to say hi. Uh,
Hello.
so Yeah, I think that you already mentioned the meditation that you lead. Is that online as well?
The community is a global community. So, we have the Sangha or spiritual group in the UK, in Santa Barbara, in Egypt now. So we have three kind of places where people are gathering to meditate in person. But then every Sunday we meet for discourse at 11 PST, free on Zoom. And then there's two meditations weekly as well that are free mantra meditations on every Tuesday and Thursday at 11:30 a.m. PST as well. And that's Sangha to Divine Light. That's an organization that I'm a part of and help contribute my time, my energy, my money, my love, just as Seva. Like that's just pure Seva. And that organization is completely nonprofit. And yeah, it's just a mission to continue to proliferate the true path, the authentic teachings of the East.
Hmm. Beautiful. Beautiful. And then you have the tea that you're selling. What's the name of the brand?
Yeah, so Drishti House is a tea house that's based here in Santa Barbara, California. And we do traditional Chinese Cha Dao tea ceremony, which I absolutely love because there's a form, and in perfecting the form, you kind of enter into this flow state, and you're sharing tea. You and your guests are meditating, and just connecting so deep. The level of presence and stillness in those containers is just so palpable. For me, it doesn't even feel like work, to be honest.
Hmm.
And everyone just has an opportunity to remember that sanctuary of peace within themselves, amidst the chaos of life. It's just like we're just gonna pause just for a moment and then just
Right.
remember that silence. It's like, oh my gosh, that exists.
Yeah.
And it's even if you're mindful, like it's still like you're dipping your toes in it when you go sit down to actually practice. Whereas in the enlightened being, they are not dipping their toes; they are they are the pool.
Right. Right.
So, but that's the practice, like working towards that. And then, of course, we have the tea that goes along with that. And we have an online community called Drishti Collective. And the beautiful thing about that collective is we have identified key tools and practices from mantra meditation to breath work to yoga to reflection and journaling, plus a daily tea ritual to help co-create a sadhana that is personalized for each person. So if you resonate with, I love journaling, like perfect. Drink some tea, journal. I love to meditate. Drink some tea, meditate. But the foundation is tea because what I found is, and the Taoists found this too, and the Buddhists found this also, and the Zen Buddhists found this too. I know a lot of people found this, but that tea enhances your ability to go deeper into deeper states of consciousness. And so the monks would drink tea and then meditate and then become so synonymous that the preparation of tea became a meditation. So
Mm.
that's why we do tea ceremony. Tea ceremony is literally just a moving meditation. And then you meditate, and then you leave the tea ceremony, and then you really meditate because that's life.
Right.
That's the true ceremony, right?
Right.
So we're working towards like movie meditation, stillness meditation, like life meditation.
Mhm.
And it's all about helping people find what resonates with them. It's not about telling them, do this or do that. It's not about I'm the teacher. We actually bring in experts from all over the space, and so that we can share different perspectives and share different teachings. And we would love to have you on there as well and share
Amazing.
your wisdom. And so we do that through an online tea time. So it's really about like accountability. If you're in your practice and you're finding it, man, I just keep breaking my 21-day streak. I can't get there or whatever it is. We do 5 online events like every single week, one breath work, one yoga, one journaling, one tea time, one of each of the modalities. So you can get connected and work with a group of like-minded, like-hearted people to strengthen your practice and get motivated to like really go together as a community instead of
Mm.
feeling like you're alone. Um,
I love that.
yeah, because every lineage, it's all about community. Like you go to Buddhism, what is what is it? What do they call it in Buddhism? Sangha. What do they
Mhm.
call it in Sikhism? Sangat. What do they call it in the yogic lines? Satsang. What do they call it in the West? church. The spiritual community is so critical. And even the entrepreneurs that say this in the West too, you are the sum of your 5 closest relationships.
Yes.
People don't realize how powerful your 5 closest friends are. The quickest way to raise your vibration is change your diet and change the people you hang around with.
Yeah.
Those 2 things, like I always tell people, those are the 2 quickest ways to raise your vibration. If you drop people that are in negativity and have bad thoughts and bad habits, guess what? Even if you don't agree with them, their aura is rubbing up on you, and you are subconsciously like taking on that energy.
Yeah.
So, but if you're surrounding yourself with people that want to uplift you and raise you and like cheerlead you and, you know, improve you, then you're going to be fast tracked to the next like iteration of self, a lighter, brighter version of yourself.
For sure.
So I cannot stress how important, and the gurus stress it also. It's the 5. It's shh. How do you silent the mind? Silent your mind. Seva, selfless service. Sangat, spiritual community. Shabad, the mantra. Simran, remembrance of the divine, in the company of the holy. Shh. And the holy is the true teacher, right? So beautiful. That is like the master formula that is then repeated in every lineage across like space-time forever. You'll see the same pattern for how you walk up the mountain. The only difference is like a couple key things, but it's a formula. You know, like we're all walking up this mountain. There's one trail here, there's one trail there. It doesn't make either of the trails wrong. But when you try to mix and match trails, people get confused. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, if you're a Buddhist, they say shave your head. If you're a Sikh, they say keep all your hair. Who's right and who's wrong?
That's right? Like us. I got no hair. You got long hair.
Yeah, but both are right.
Right.
Because what they're asking you is to surrender into the formula. Mm-hmm. And as you surrender, like maybe you're shaving, but the funny thing is you're shaving your head because they want you to release your ego, and you're keeping your hair because they want you to release your ego and be content with the way that God made you. Right. So like it's the same teaching, just same but different. Like so that's why I was saying before, it's like, or my teacher says, it's important that when go explore all the spiritual shops, go explore all the colors of the rainbow. But once you find something that your soul resonates with, get connected to a lineage. I'm not saying it has to be Sikhism or Buddhism or this or that. Like that's your own personal intimate connection. Mm-hmm. You know? So once you find that, stay root there and go deep in that path and follow that formula, and just make sure that whatever lineage you're connected to, that there is literally an enlightened being that's sitting on top of it. Because wherever that being has achieved, that is what you are going to achieve by following that path. And you have to understand, what is a lineage? A lineage is a line between the divine, the master, the disciple, master, disciple, master, disciple, master, disciple, master, disciple, all the way to you. That is the path up the mountain. A lineage is a line to the divine.
Yeah.
So
make sure there's an enlightened being at the top of the mountain in your lineage. That's the main takeaway. That it makes sense. It makes complete sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna follow whatever, even if it's an entrepreneur or anyone that you're taking advice from in your life, whatever they're telling you, look at them. Right. That's what you're being led to. That's what you're going to become.
Right.
So be aware. Like, do I want to be that person?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. Really good point. So, any of the links to all the events, all the nonprofit, the tea company, we'll drop all that in the description in this video and in the previous video. And it looks like you're getting ready to read us another poem.
Yeah, we'll do all the links. But
all right.
If we're gonna end this thing, we gotta end with some poetry, because it's just.
Let's do it. So, is this your book that you're reading from?
Yeah, this is a book, and this is a whole story too. I didn't really even jump into this, but I received poetry throughout this entire journey, and it was kind of like the universe was dropping breadcrumbs, and the poetry themselves became mantra, became codes that I was infusing inside of every single cell of my being, and leading me synchronistically to the next person, place, or thing for my own spiritual development. And I didn't even know what all this stuff meant, but later, upon reflection, it all reveals itself and it makes sense. So there's a couple poems that could potentially be shared. I think we have to share one called "Spiritual Sales."
Okay.
Because we were talking about the false teachers and things like that. It's kind of a funny one.
Yeah.
And then I'd love to share maybe one other poem, maybe just a little higher up the mountain, I suppose.
Yeah, let's do it.
Just to give some motivation of like, where are we going? We're going to this non-dualistic place, beyond the mind. So I'm going to start with Spiritual Sales, and then we'll go to Never Ends. Okay. So 427. And the cool thing about this book is that it's written in order of my consciousness, like spiritual development. So you can see the pitfalls of like ego coming in or ego dissolving, or like, oh yeah, I had that experience. And it's written in a way where it's like everyone that's on the spiritual path could relate in some sort of way. So we're just talking about spiritual sales or salesmanship. And so this is kind of a tongue-in-cheek way to approach this concept of selling spirituality. I'm selling love. Is anyone buying? Giving it away for free, and I'm not even trying. It will have you sky high and feel like you're flying. I swear to God that I'm not even lying. And once you're past the paywall, I promise you that you'll never fall, because this sales ladder takes you all the way to the top. Express elevator to your true self with the divine as the bell hop. Ding, enlightenment is the next stop. The doors fly open and I'm wide-eyed. Surprised, oh my, the divine didn't lie. It was everything I wanted and more. Primarily because I don't have any desires anymore, and all of my problems are resolved because I left them all waiting outside the front door. Vampires, goblins, demons, none of you are getting in. But then I begin to scratch my chin. Even Satan needs love. And what if I could deceive the deceivers and turn them into righteous overachievers, trick a faithless sinner into becoming a pious believer? First, I would have to get them to buy. No. Let's make it free for them to try. Just one taste and they'll want more. But their posture, their discipline, their willpower is just so poor. Hey, nobody said dealing with the devil was easy. It's light work to open heavy doors, but we will not take on your chores. We'll only show you how to scrub the temple's floors. Encourage them from the sidelines. I promise to cheer you on. And when you finally achieve, we'll let out a yawn and ask you, what took you so long? I kid. We'll share a good laugh and get back to the task. Now it's your turn to ask, who wants to learn so that they can earn the true currency of LOVE that will set your soul free for free.
I love that.
And I just, disclaimer, I'm not, when I receive this, but it's not me speaking saying that I promise to cheer you on when you finally achieve, as if I achieved. No, this is from outside, like this is from, I don't even know where it's from, but it's from a place that energy has achieved.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, it's actually cheering me on and saying, when you get here, we'll have a good laugh.
Right.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was awesome. I'm stoked for this other one.
Yeah, so this one is from a higher perspective. And again, I don't claim to understand this at all, but I can see where it's trying to lead us. And it's called Never Ends, 460. So this is much deeper. And it goes like this. My Lord, my Master, my King, King of Kings, you are God, Goddess, Creator, Creatrix, Liberated Matrix, all-seeing, freeing being, wrapping yourself in the ends of time. Your dreams are ever present, waiting for the moment to manifest, for when one calls for it from their chest. Neither wrong nor right, black nor white cloud your judgment, for all is allowed, all is tolerated, and all is welcome in the arms of the divine. He watches as tightly bound balls of karma unwind, releasing energy to align to higher vibrational timelines. For there are infinite ways through the infinite maze. So take one or none. Either way, we will be one. Perhaps not in this lifetime or the next, but eventually all roads lead on. Simply enjoy the sights and sounds you are shown. Take responsibility for the seeds you have sown. For he can only help if you ask. For he grants you free will to wear a mask or not. Be free or lost in your thoughts, to open up or close down as a box, timeless or bound to what ticks and what talks, whatever tickles your fancy, whatever delights your senses, whatever flavor you want to savor. But with so many items on the menu, it can be difficult to decide. That's why he's placed the GPS map inside. And if it gets dark and you ever want to turn the tide, just flip the switch and remember your light can never hide. For your love powers your crystalline core. To return home, just open the front door. Chant the name to win the game, to spark the flame of your celestial heart, and the illusion will begin to break apart. And we will dance forever again, for his song will never end.
Mm, that was beautiful. So, what's the name of your book?
Well, the name of the book is The Flowing River. And to be honest, I published a version like 5 years ago for the first 5 years of my journey, and then more poetry came. The poetry is pretty much stopped at this point, so I feel like the book is complete. And it's 221 poems. I'm in the final stage of the proofing, so I will be releasing this new version probably within the next 30 days.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So by the time this podcast comes out, the book should be live.
Fingers
Beautiful.
crossed.
Yeah, so we'll have all those links for everyone to check out. And thank you so much, brother. This has been so nourishing, and I've learned so much. And there were moments where I was just like captivated with your words. So that was really beautiful to just have that pure presence. So I really appreciate that whenever I get to experience that. So it's been beautiful to have you on, brother, and maybe we can do another one in the future, uh, at any moment in time.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the service you're providing by sharing these teachings and creating a platform for the light to continue to spread in the world. Like, really appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Until next time, brother. Send you lots of love.
Bless, bless. Stay blessed.